everyone. Welcome to the Viking Update Show. We are coming to you from the Aquarius home studios, presented to you by Giggly and Onyx Fish. I am John Krawczynski. I am normally the sidecar. I'm normally recording cast for this show. Jim Suhan is on vacation. And so we are pleased to have a crossover episode here at Talk North with Alec Lewis, the great Alec Lewis, and his Vikings show that Jim and we've only been doing this for like 15 years. And then here comes Alec to come in and hone in on our corner. But Alec, man, how's it going? How's your summer going so far? And welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always good to hop on when Jim is in Hawaii or Japan or something like that. Great to be here. Appreciate you having me. It's the quietest time of the year. There are very few quiet times in this calendar, as you know, having been around this league as long as and really every league as long as you have. But it's it's crazy. Season ends, and then it's how much money are they going to spend and what are they going to spend it on, and then obviously the draft comes, and there's the lead up to that, and then the post evaluations from that, and then minicamp, which provided us really the first look at JJ McCarthy on the field in a competitive-ish environment since we saw him last fall before the torn meniscus. So it now is the recovery, get ready for training camp, get the body right before we're out in the heat or the rain every day. But no, it's good. It's fun times, and I can't wait for the season that is going to be as fascinating as any of them.
How has the initial foray into Talk North podcasting fandom and fame gone for you?
Yeah, the fame has really been the part that I've had to, navigate. I'm out at X Place, and are you the guy from the Talk North network? And it's navigating
incredible.
Right. And I know you've done that. You and Jim have, become comfortable in that position, kind of, with that level of audience. But no, it's been great. The people have been awesome to work with behind the scenes. Tony Landry seems to be, every time I need a podcast posted, this guy's ready and rocking and able to do it. So no, it's been fun. The podcast has been a great rep environment for me. And I don't know. I don't read the comments because I still get wrecked, but it happens.
That's great, man. We're happy to have you aboard. It's a great addition to the whole network. We are going to talk on this show just a little bit about, we're setting up training camp that's going to be coming up right at the end of the month. We'll get into some of the big topics du jour that I think Vikings fans are thinking about, because even as we get to this point of the off season where we're still several weeks away from training camp, I do think we are now in the mode of, there is a bit of itchiness from fans. Like they haven't had football for a very long time. Everyone's addicted to it. And so I think once you get to the 4th of July weekend, it's almost like, okay, Vikings are right around the corner. Twins aren't doing much. Wolves just had their draft and free agency, but they're out while they're doing whatever they do over, in St. Paul. And so we're getting to that point. But before we get started, we'll just remind you that we are coming to you from the Aquarius home studios.
That first sip of coffee on a summer morning. Sunshine. Caffeine. What's better? How about water so good it makes your coffee jealous? Water from Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Enjoy sparkling dishes, cloud-soft laundry, and worry-free water from every faucet. Likely for less than your daily iced coffee. Enjoy up to 25% off a new Connecticut system and schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, it's Mark Rosen with a reminder to tune into my podcast, Rosen Sports Monday, every week here on Talk North Sports. We cover the gamut from the broadcasting industry to the sports personalities in town. So don't miss it. Rosen Sports Monday here on Talk North Sports.
And the Viking Update Show is presented by Giggly and Onyx Fish. All right, Alec, we're recording this here on Wednesday, going into July 4th weekend. You had I think a cool piece this morning in The Athletic about, just kind of quick hits on all 45 guys on the offensive side of the ball. And it really did just give you a couple of things to think about going into camp. And a few things jumped out at you. So I'll just start with the Jordan Addison piece, and you mentioned kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with him from a disciplinary perspective. It feels like we should have known by now. I don't know why it has taken as long as we have, but where do things stand with Jordan Addison? And what do you expect to happen at the start of the year from a disciplinary standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, this legal process it's gone on it's been a long time. And I know, the arrest happened last summer. If I'm not mistaken, there's going to be kind of some finality or close to it around the middle of the month of this month. And so I think once that plays out, then, it defers to the NFL and you'll likely get, the standard type of, discipline for this type of situations, probably around 3 games. And it's felt to me really the whole time that was probably going to be around what ultimately happens, that Jordan Addison misses probably close to 3 games to start this season. And I don't think this team's going to be at all blindsided by that. I think they've prepared, planned, kind of gone into it in the worst case scenario. How are we going to navigate this? And the answers to that will be obviously Justin Jefferson, Jalen Naylor's role, which he filled last year early in the season when Jordan Addison hurt his ankle in that first game against the New York Giants in New York. Jalen had to kind of step up, and then TJ Hockenson wasn't available at that time. And I expect him coming off, he only played half the season coming back from the torn ACL. It wasn't phenomenal throughout the back half of the year. He made a couple really nice catches in the Chicago game in Chicago, but I expected him to be very motivated coming into this year. And so those 3, my expectation is that they will have to shoulder the burden of the workload the first 3 games. And the Vikings will, in their minds, hopefully get him back for that Europe trip and be raring to rock. But I think, if I've had a couple people ask about it, just think the team's been very mindful and proactive the whole time of, okay, this is going to be our plan in the event this happens, and we're not going to get blindsided by this at all.
I was, reading your piece again this morning. I've totally forgot about Rondale Moore. And I'm just a little bit at least intrigued by, if you do look at, hey, Addison's out for 3 games, obviously Naylor is the guy who steps up, but then you need to backfill a little bit there too. What have you seen or what have you heard from where Moore is at physically? I just remember him with the Cardinals being a dynamic player when he was right. And so, it makes sense for me that for the Vikings to take that flyer on him. But what do you think about him and where he might at least fit in, maybe even just early in the season while Addison is out or something like that?
No, it's a great point. He didn't participate fully this spring, so I really haven't seen him in real meaningful activity. But what I will say is behind the scenes, it sounded like they felt very comfortable with him progressing and getting into training camp and having a pretty clear opportunity to show them how quickly he's picked up the offense, to show them how he can apply some of the skills that you see if you just turn on the highlight film with him. I go back with this guy. He played at Purdue in college.
Yeah.
Purdue played Mizzou when I was at Mizzou. And I remember David Blau threw for 500 yards against Mizzou, and Rondale Moore had it was like he had 50 catches in the game. It's like, who is this guy? How is Purdue doing this? And a lot of that was probably a reflection of Missouri and their inability to be very good. But Rondale Moore, look, the injury last year that he suffered before the season was it's your classic compound fracture or compound torn ACL, but an MCL, but it was a brutal one. It's taken a lot of work for him to get back. And so it is going to be interesting. And I think you're apt to bring it up because he gives you a skill set that is just different. It's quick screens out of the backfield. It's, orbit motion behind the play and getting him the ball in space. It's certain quick hitters that probably this offense and this staff is going to really want to supply to JJ McCarthy early on so that he's not having to drop back and play quarterback 40 times a game just as he gets his feet wet. So it's going to be he'll be a guy in training camp. If you were to power rank list of 45 guys to watch, which apparently I can do that. Rondale would be pretty high just in terms of wanting to see what he's capable of.
Is it the expectation that come training camp he will be full go, or what do you think about just where he's at physically right now?
Yeah, I think I would definitely be surprised if we got into like the first week of training camp and he wasn't out there on the field. Now they with this injury, really going back a ways, they take it very methodically. Like the TJ Hawkinson, you'll remember, as they were, pinpointing when is he going to come back? Is it this week? It's the same with Christian Darrisaw right now. Like this guy is crushing his rehab. You talk to anybody and they'll just rave about his progress. And so as someone who covers it, the fans listen to this, you're probably like, well, can he be ready for week one? It's just, they don't love pushing it if it doesn't absolutely make sense at the time. So Rondale, I would say I'd expect him to be out there early on in training camp.
Yeah. And to complete kind of the triage segment of this podcast, like with Darrisaw, you did mention in the piece, like maybe week one, maybe not. What's kind of the outlook on there? Because it did seem like there was certainly a lot of excitement when he was on the field a little bit in June, and that was really encouraging. What do you think about his outlook for being ready right when the season begins?
Yeah, when we walked out to the field, it must have been early June probably.
Yeah.
He was out there. It was like you had to pull out was it 1 month, 2 months? It's like how quick did that happen? And again, the everything you hear about the way he's attacked this thing is everything you'd want to hear about, just a guy who had already signed his extension. Is he going to be voracious and working back from it? Sounds like he definitely has. And with the way he's pushed, the timeline probably puts you around September. And then it becomes a question of how comfortable are they with Justin School, this backup that they signed who played last year in Tampa Bay, and he played pretty well. Like, would they be okay having him step in for 2 weeks and slow play it with Christian Darrisaw? Or if he's just banging down the door, Christian Darrisaw, maybe you just let it happen, knowing that you want to give J.J. McCarthy the best start from a protection standpoint. So it kind of goes back to the Rondale conversation of, I just don't think they want to push these guys to an unrealistic or just an unintelligent limit. But with the way he's gone about it, I wouldn't be really surprised at anything. I just know they like giving guys as much time as possible.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break here and come back, and then we'll get into kind of a little bit of J.J. McCarthy. We'll talk cornerbacks. We'll do a little bit more of the red meat. But first, I will remind you that Giggly is a presenting sponsor of this program, as is Onyx Fish. And now Jim Suhan will tell you about Giggly and Onyx Fish.
I want to tell you more about Giggly THC beverages. Use the promo code GigglyNorth to get a discount on your first order. And also go to the website. If you've already used Giggly North, every time you go to the website, they have some kind of a deal going on. I recommend starting with one of their variety packs because I like all of the cocktail flavors. I like alternating, and they all taste great. And what you have to remember here, this is a way to drink something that tastes good and that relaxes you, that is healthy, gluten-free, vegan, made with fruit juice, and will not give you a hangover, will not leave you feeling lethargic the next day. They have ashwagandha and ginseng in there. Now they are selling gummies and chocolates. They also have seltzers and teas. I just love it all. Mostly for me, it's the cocktails that I get to drink something that tastes like a cocktail on a weeknight and know that when I wake up at 6 a.m. to walk the dogs, I'm going to feel really good. I'm going to hop out of bed because I don't have a hangover. It's a great way to live. So they are selling them at Quick Trips. They also deliver it nationwide. So go to giggly.com, GIGLI.com. Use promo code GigglyNorth for your first order to get a discount. Keep coming back to the website. You'll find other discounts and enjoy it. I really enjoy this stuff. And I think you will too. That's what we kind of do here. We try to tell people about companies, Minnesota companies that do good work that you should know about. Also want to tell you about Onyx Fish. The weather is warming up, and that means it's time to put your augers away and it's time to grab the boat. Let Onyx Fish help you find the next best bite. The Fish app offers the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your success. Use the Fish app to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potential. Onyx Fish also shows you hot spots, lake by lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. Download Onyx Fish on the app store or go to onyxmaps.com/fish to get more information about the app that is changing the game on ice.
All right, we're back with the Viking Update Show. John Krawczynski and Alec Lewis kind of chopping it up. Several weeks away from camp. It will be here sooner than we all expect. But one thing that I'm super interested in, Alec, when it comes to JJ McCarthy, when it comes to this quarterback, how they approach it is, obviously as a young player, you're going to want to just not put a lot on his shoulders. You're going to want him to take the easy throws, make the simple plays, and just get his feet underneath him. But for me, I've watched JJ McCarthy, watch him at Michigan. Then you're around him, you're talking to people around him, kind of before he was injured. He feels to me like a guy who wants to cut it loose, who wants to get out there and let it fly a little bit. And so how do you see sort of that balance going in terms of, obviously you don't want him to be reckless. You don't want to put too much on him, but there is an essence about McCarthy, to me at least, that says, man, I'm going to get out here and I'm going to make plays. I'm not going to just be the guy who matriculates down the field, hand off, dump off, do that. I want to go down the field. I want to squeeze throws into tight windows. Like, what do you see about that dynamic and just how the Vikings, you think, will handle putting him out there, you are our guy, and we don't want you to be tentative either in terms of how he approaches.
Yeah, I mean, you're right in terms of your intuition that he is that type of way. Like, people, you think about him at Michigan and like the narrative, and some of it is accurate. It's like, oh, he just hands it off and makes the easy. Like, you go back even, deeper into his background. When he was at IMG Academy, like, they gave him the keys to the car where he's calling plays on the field. Like, he was the one calling play. It was like his operation. He was inputting plays into the practice script because they wanted to give him the license to do that. And on the field, when he is playing, like, he does want to create. You saw it in the preseason game last year where he rolls out to the right. He tries to feather the ball over the top of Jack Jones. It didn't work out, but it leads me to the answer of the question is, I think some of it is just has been trial and error over these last few months of, like, let him do what he feels like is the right thing to do. See if it works. See what doesn't work. Be very willing to play naturally over these last few months, and then that way, like, come the season, you just have a better feel for the levers that you can pull and the levers that you can't pull. And I think the other aspect of the answer is, it's going to be all about trust between Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings offensive staff and JJ McCarthy, in the sense that, how much does JJ trust Kevin to put him in the positions to be able to balance the rhythm and the timing, but also the freedom? And then how much does Kevin trust JJ to, we'll see, we'll be up in the press box week 2, Sunday night against the Falcons. And probably the first play of the game, they're going to run that bootleg keeper where he comes around and it's 3 guys coming to that side of the field. And JJ, like, it's incumbent upon you to make the right read and make the right throw. So, it's all, in my opinion, and in talking to people around it, like, it's going to be all about trust between those two sides. And I feel like they spent this entire spring developing that, the same way that last year, people would ask, why is Sam Darnold getting so many of these reps? Why isn't it? Part of it was because in the event that Sam started, which was always probably going to be the case, like, they needed, the coaching staff and Sam needed that level of trust. So, it's going to be, there's no question that as the season begins, there are going to be points at which JJ is trying to create, has the confidence in his arm, throws the ball over the middle of the field, it's deflected or it's picked out. And those are just going to have to be learning experiences that as a fan base, people get hot over, but that's just part of it. The kid is 22 years old playing at a speed now where he has to process quicker than he's ever going to have had to in his entire past.
And I mean, this is not breaking new ground, but this is the unique part of this marriage right now, is that so often in the league, you're a top 10 draft pick, you're going to a team that isn't very good, that you have time to learn on the job and make mistakes. And if you lose games, you lose games, but you play for the long term and say, whatever lumps we take right now as a group, as a team, are all going to be worth it in 2, 3, 4 years when he's got command, when he's figured it all out, and when this team is ready to win. But the Vikings are ready to win right now. And that's just going to be the real push and pull of this. It's a little similar to the Timberwolves. Like, Rob Dillingham is going to have to play a lot at point guard, and he's going to have to make mistakes, and they are playing on a team that is going to be competing for the playoffs. And can you afford to lose games early on while he's making his mistakes, hopefully for the long term, then he's ready by the playoffs and all of that stuff. And so for a coaching staff, Chris Finch struggled with it last year, didn't play Dillingham a lot because he's like, I just cannot afford to put the fate of this team in the hands of a 20-year-old kid. And I think O'Connell is certainly more comfortable because they're starting him and they're with McCarthy and they're letting him do it. But there is going to probably be some times, especially early in the season, where he does throw a pick that was completely unnecessary, and maybe it even costs them a game. And how they handle those bumps early is just going to be so fascinating to watch for a team that is, I feel, from the rest of the roster, is Super Bowl capable. And so just what they do with that is going to be amazing to watch.
Yeah, my mind goes two places with that. One, from Kevin O'Connell and the coaching staff's standpoint, in some ways, it is such a bet on their infrastructure, and not just like the personnel infrastructure, but the schematic, play calling, game preparation infrastructure. I mean, I've used this stat way too many times, but I mean, Kevin O'Connell's been here 3 years. They've thrown for 4,000 yards every single year and close to 30 touchdowns with Kirk Cousins. The year when it was Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, and then last year was Sam Darnold. So the way that they teach, the way that they organize the system, it feels like gives them such a conviction that even with the road bumps, they will, the floor will live at a certain point. But the other place in my mind goes with this conversation is the run game better be, it better be potent. You better allocate time to it. It better be something you can fall back on, and not just this ancillary piece, because you just have to give yourself as many opportunities to be able to move the ball efficiently in this situation. And it's something we've talked about time and time again. I'll never forget, first year I cover the team, season ends, we're in Indianapolis at the Combine. We're sitting at a ballroom on the third floor of the JW Marriott, and Kevin O'Connell, we got to run the football better. And then what do they do that offseason? They signed Josh Oliver, the blocking tight end, which Josh is great. He's been great. He was extended recently. He's one of the best run blocking tight ends in the NFL. But from a results standpoint, with Alexander Madison that year, it did not show. And then last year, they signed Aaron Jones, and Aaron had a great year, but the run game still has left a lot to be desired. You look around the league, the Tampa Bay Bucks, the way they ran the football. You can name a lot of different teams. And if that aspect of this team if opponents do not fear that aspect of this team, this bet they're trying to make with a roster that is as good as it is, and a quarterback who is as young and inexperienced as JJ is, it's going to be that much more difficult for that bet to go right.
Do you think O'Connell has that in him to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust if he needs it? Do you think that when it all comes down to it, that, yep, I'm going to swallow, not the pride. I'm just going to, like, he wants to go for the jugular. We've seen the stats. The Vikings go down the field more than any team in the league. They want the deep shots. They do all those things. Like, that's in his DNA. We've seen him, like, there's been several times throughout the O'Connell run here where it's like they're first and goal from the 9 and they do some weird ass trick play that is like, all right, are you trying to flex on me and show me how, creative you are? And I actually enjoy that part of him, but I just wonder if we get to a point where it's clear that McCarthy, at least early on, really needs to use the run game as a crutch and not as just an ancillary supporting thing. That I just wonder, can O'Connell bring himself to do it that way?
Here's the way, Adam, people have asked this a lot. And yes, at his core, obviously, Kevin wants to air. He's a quarterback who never got the real opportunity in the league and I mean, wants to air it out. There's no question. But just having spent time around him, knowing who he was around in Sean McVay, like Sean McVay has been very adaptable, specifically in the run game. They were this wide zone, mid zone, hand the ball, have the running backs press the edge and cut back. And they've evolved, the Rams have, into this downhill smash mouth gap scheme duo run game. And so obviously Kevin O'Connell sees that. And the way I answer it is he is a sharp enough, aware enough, savvy enough guy to know that, and he said it plenty of times, to know that if you want to win in January, when the games matter, then they just have to, have more of it's not just a physical demeanor. It's not just a physical mindset. It is schematic, time spent, and a schematic marriage of wanting to be that. And so I think he's aware enough, smart enough to where eventually they will get there, even if it's taken the time that it's taken to get there. But it is an integral beast. And I just want to see it. Like, you just want to see it before. I can have hope, I can believe, but at some point, again, and like you can, I mentioned Tampa Bay, but like you look down there at their run game and some of the intricacies and just the consistency with which they were able to run the football in a lot of different ways. And that's a guy who comes from the McVay tree, who was in charge of that offense. And so it's incumbent upon them to making it, as Kevin would say, make it come to life to where we all see it on Sundays. But I do think they can get there, just because I have faith in just his awareness and smarts.
We're going to take one more break here and before we finish up, and we are going to hear from Michael Russo on Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
And here's Jim one more time for Natrium and Twill.
One thing I've noticed lately is when I do a live show for TalkNorth.com, when I go to a meeting, when I walk around town, when I'm on a date night with my wife, when I go out to a local restaurant, when I know I'm going to be seen in public. Now, everything I wear, I got at twillmn.com. That's Twill in the Dining Galleria. That's Scott Dayton's great shop, the most friendly, best shopping experience you're going to have in the Twin Cities, the best men's clothing store you're going to have in the Twin Cities. And, what I love, and I keep saying it because it's true, is that when I was a kid, I associated nice clothes, dress-up clothes, with being uncomfortable, with having, the collar too tight around your neck, with the pants that really didn't fit you well, the shirt that didn't fit you well. Everything I wear from Twill, even when it's a suit, even when it's a sport coat, even when it is nice clothes that I want to keep nice, I feel like I could play golf in them. There's the new flexible fabrics are so comfortable and so breathable. You're just going to be comfortable. And I love the fact that I can now dress up, look decent, look as decent as I'm capable of looking, and be absolutely as comfortable as when I'm wearing a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. So whether it's Dingman shoes, my Johnny O stuff, my Peter Millar stuff, the Brax pants, the Barricot t-shirts, the quarter zips from Johnny O and Peter Millar, the corduroys I wear in the winter. Everything I wear these days, if I want to look decent, is from Twill. You should try it out. Go to twillmn.com, sign up for their email alerts. They'll only send you something like once every couple months when they have a special event. But go into the shop. They're just really nice people. It's a really relaxed environment. Just look around. You'll find something you like. You'll find something you want to buy somebody else as a gift. And tell them Talk North and Jim Suhan and John Krawczynski sent you. Also want to tell you about Natrium. I use their balms for sore joints, sore muscles all the time. I use their oils for gut health. What I really use, and what I use most of all is their sleep aids. It's just really comforting when I know I need to sleep well, when I know I have a big day the next day, when I have had trouble sleeping, when I'm having trouble getting to bed at a reasonable time. You just take one of the sleep gummies and you just drift off into sleep. You sleep soundly. You wake up feeling great and ready for the next day. You can find something that fits you perfectly. I would go to the store in St. Louis Park, Natreum, natrium.com. Go to the store in St. Louis Park, talk to the sales professionals. They will be able to steer you toward the right delivery system, the right flavors, the right dosages, whether you want THC or CBD or a combination of the two. It just makes your life better. So go to natrium.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth15 to get 15% off your next order at natrium.com. TalkNorth15, 15% off your next order at natrium.com.
All right, back here for the final segment of the Viking Update Show. John Krawczynski. I'm here with Alec Lewis of The Athletic and The Alec Lewis Show as well. When we get to camp, Alec, who needs a great one? Like, who are a couple of guys who maybe might, kind of their futures are a little in doubt, or they're kind of hanging on, to a spot, or trying to win maybe even a starting spot versus a backup? Like, when you're watching guys that get to, week 1, week 2 of the preseason, who really needs to shine to kind of solidify a spot here?
Yeah, I mean, probably where my mind's going to go from the outset is the cornerback room, just because, I've written this and said it plenty of times, but they've said how confident they are in this room, and their actions to this point prove that, specifically with Isaiah Rodgers as probably that pair with Byron Murphy Jr. But really, I mean, where my mind goes is the Jeff Okudas, the Mekhi Blackmans, the Dwight McGlotherns. Like, those guys really going to have to produce to fend off potentially this team probably going out and trying to make some other addition at some point. So that's really where it starts. And then I probably flow to, just certain guys. Like, the defensive line room is a very interesting room right now. After signing Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, Harrison Phillips, who they extended last year, like what's his role day to day? And then behind them, like the Levi Drake Rodriguez is, some players like that. Where do they fit in? How do they fit in? Do they fit in? And then just bouncing around the roster, like Brian Asamoah, linebacker, Ty Chandler, running back. The back end of that receiver room is going to be pretty interesting. So there's a lot of places, but I just start with the cornerback room because when you have a team, and you said it right, that has a roster that is this loaded and yet so uncertain at what is unquestionably a key position, it's hard not to. That's why I understand why some of the fans, it's like, what is his position? Mm-hmm. Now, Brian Flores, I know, has a lot of faith in Isaiah Rodgers. But you're betting a lot, obviously, on guys who have not been consistent producing starters over the last few years.
At this point in the offseason, with some of the other moves that we have seen happen, what do you, if the Vikings have to go out and find another cornerback, who would you think is going to be front of mind for them? And who is available that could say, hey, yeah, this guy makes sense here if, they look and it's like, oh boy, we need some help here.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious starting points are the guys in the free agent market. Asante Samuel Jr. is a name that's come up a billion times in the space, and he's navigated some injury stuff. He's also had, some agent changes. There's been a lot kind of with him, but I if he could prove it out health-wise, he is a very good fit with this Brian Flores system. He's very, he's great in zone coverages, reads the ball very well, and that's kind of how they play. And he's young enough probably to where his legs playing man coverage, he's capable. I mean, there are other names like Jack Jones, who off the field has navigated a lot over the course of his career, but played last couple of years in the Raiders system. The Raiders DC and Brian Flores are very, very close. And so he would have probably a very good feel, Brian Flores would, in terms of Jack Jones' ability. And then there's always the trade market. And there are certain names, probably mostly in the AFC that'd be interesting, but then you'd navigate, potential draft capital and they have gotten to a place where I think over the next couple of seasons, they really want to build draft capital. Like they've given it away, not given it away, but they've used it over the last 3 years. But now with a young quarterback and his contract increasing, having paid what they've paid to a bunch of these free agents, you need young players who are talented and come at a very easy, a much less cost to supplement the roster as a whole. So that's probably where I'd go in terms of the cornerback options.
Yeah, that makes sense. The name that you mentioned in terms of great camp for me, I do think Ty Chandler feels like this is make or break, right? I mean, he's had several years here. I mean, he's got physical tools that intrigue you, but just has not been able to flash enough of that on the field. And then you bring in Jordan Mason, you have Aaron Jones, and you bring in some other candidates in their turn game as well. It just feels like for fans who have maybe, got to know him a little bit and also have hoped that eventually you'd see a little bit more of that speed and everything on display. It's just like, it's now or never for him.
No question. And I mean, it's tough because you do go back 2 years ago in Cincinnati, he ran for 132 yards in that game. And over the course of, there have been many instances covering this team, and he was drafted the year I started in 2022, where it's like, man, this guy's got juice. Like, you might not always see it in practice and in training camp, but on the field, it just feels like he does. Now, the thing that you learn in time covering this league, and this, that position, you got to do a lot of different things. You got to catch the ball consistently out of the backfield, especially in this offense. You got to be able to run, pass block, pass protect in the backfield, as these defenses have gotten smarter than ever at scalpeling like your weak point. So, and then you mentioned the return game, which is this non-sexy thing that my colleague Kevin Seifer will be absolutely on top of come the season. But with where they are moving the touch back up, and starting the ball at the 35, like, it is a potentially massive change in the league to where you could see more. Now, we've said this for years, where you could see more returns, and that's why they brought in your Silas Bullens. That's why Rondale Moore is an option there. Isaiah Rodgers even has been, he's worked in a little bit with that group. So there's no question Ty Chandler, it's the final year of his rookie contract. there's going to be a lot of eyes on him when training camp begins.
Yeah, and it also speaks to what they've done ahead of him that makes it even tougher for him, because I think that in the past, in some of the running back rooms that he's been in, you at least can look at him and say, well, he has more juice. He's more dynamic than some of the guys that are in front of him. And that at least makes us feel like keep him around just in case. And like, let's keep this kind of what if right there for us. And just in case injuries, or we're underwhelmed by, the guys in front. But like now with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, like there's no advantage that Chandler has in terms of game breaker ability over those guys. Like he's going to have to win a backup spot in some other way other than, man, that dude can really fly. And none of our other guys can really bring it on that level.
Yeah. Had they not acquired Jordan Mason, and let's say they drafted a player in the 6th or 7th round or what have you, you could even, you'd say, well, at least Ty Chandler's been in the system, so you know much more about what he's capable of. But the Jordan Mason move, and it's why I firmly believe that, we could look back months from now and be like, man, that was such a savvy decision on a Saturday night after the free agency week where it just like surfaced he's a restricted free agent with the 49ers, surfaced kind of out of nowhere. And they paid him for the next couple of years. Jordan Mason, every advanced metric would lead you to believe that this guy is really, really capable. And then, I just, he's gigantic. First of all, you notice that out on the practice. Like John, when you come to training game, you'll be like, man, that guy's huge. Then the other aspect, he just has an ability from a vision standpoint that is probably just unteachable. But you fortified that group so much to where, in the event of injury, that's probably where you start to think about Ty Chandler. But I've even gotten to the place where, for as important as the run game is, to still have, in the event of injury, to still have Ty, if there's any uncertainty, it's just a tough place to live, knowing how important that phase of this team is going to need to be.
Alec Lewis, you're awesome. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes here to hang out with us, have a little crossover episode. Now, soak up these last 2 weeks of freedom before the real hits the fan, and you're going for the next 6 months. So enjoy it, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no question. Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll get you off air on handling the fame of the Talk North radio network. But yeah, I'm headed to the resort that Russo has gotten for us. But no, appreciate having me. Always fun. And yeah, it's coming fast. A month from now, we will be in the throes of it. So back to the pool I go.
All right. This has been the Viking Update Show. He's Alec Lewis. I'm John Krawczynski. We will talk to you next week.